I think structured flexibility. And what I mean by that is, you have to have templates and such that just make it, more optimized for your time. And to be quite frank, a lot of it, you're going to find that a lot of the questions are going to get are going to be the same, right? And I remember like the first plan I ever sent out. I mean, I'm going to date myself, but my first client was like back in 2005, and I remember thinking, what do I actually send them? Because it wasn't like there were courses for online coaching back then, and it was just like a single page Word document. It's kind of like, here's your macros, and here's some stuff I recommend, and over time that evolved into like a 4-page document, and then we went to spreadsheets and those sorts of things, because I noticed over time, okay, this is what people tend to ask when they get it. These are the things they want to know. And so, in order to kind of shortcut that onboarding process, I would include a lot of that information. Now, I will say you can overload your clients with information, and I do not recommend doing that. I think, I'll give an example, like in apps, just because I've gotten more into this world. So my app, Carbon Diet Coach, if you look at it versus Macro Factor, like Macro Factor is a great app. Macro Factor gives you tons of information, but for a lot of people, like more information isn't necessarily what they need. They need the right information, because exactly, if I send you a spreadsheet with 18 tabs, and I'm like saying, I want you to track your sleep, I want you to track your bowel movements, I want you to track your period, I want you to, who has time for all that, right? And so what I'll say is some things should be a part of every person's, right? Like I want to know what your body weight is, and I want to know, some subjective feedback, and I want to have some objective feedback, and you got to decide, what's the key stuff for you. Mm-hmm. And then, if things are not progressing appropriately, if there's having some problems, then that's when asking pointed questions, to get more information is really helpful. Because if you just do too much stuff on the front end, and my former partner, she likes a lot of she liked a lot of detail. Like she wanted to give a lot of detail. And I think we always kind of view people through our own prism, right? I'm more of a be informative, be brief, be gone, right? Like I don't need tons of info. I'll get information overload. And so I think that is where you have to kind of tailor to the individual client experience. Some people are going to want more information, but you're probably going to get a pretty good idea of who they are, right? Some people are going to want to be brief, informative, gone, right? And so if you're dealing with, somebody who's a stay-at-home dog dad or a stay-at-home dog mom, they may be willing to give you more information because they have more time to devote to this stuff. But if you're dealing with an ER, I've got a hedge fund manager who has 3 kids. He works 13 hours a day. If I gave him 10 different tabs on an Excel spreadsheet, he's just going to be like, fuck this. You know what I mean? So I think that's where you have to tailor to the individual experience. Have your systems, and then figure out, try to understand on the front end, what does this person have the capability for? Tailor it to that. And then try to fill out what their check-in style, what their style is, right? I've got some clients, their check-in, we do Loom videos, and their check-in is, 45 seconds, and that's it. And I've got other people, I've got one client in particular who, if she gets a check-in video under 5 minutes, we do a celebration, and I give her a round of applause. She's very long-winded, and she wants to, give me all the information, and both are fine. It's just that's where the customization comes in. But I do think, having certain systems, I think I was on the side of almost too much flexibility when I started, and I did make things too customized. And what happened was I was just running myself ragged, because it was I was having to create everything from scratch every time, right? And I think, some of this stuff, because I don't know your particular style either, right?
That's
and
me.
you've got to add your own unique flavor, your own unique flair. But I would start, one thing I wish I would have done years ago, start an FAQ, questions you get a lot, put those down, keep those, and then figure out, okay, how can I maybe shortcut this and systemize it, right? And even if it's just a Google Doc, that you share to your clients and say, hey, here's some frequently asked questions. Like that's really useful.